welcome to the show. I'm your host, Megan Nilsson, aka Crypto Megan, coming to you from sunny southern Marbella, Spain. Let me know where you're tuning in from in the comments. It is time. It's go time, guys. This is a dip that will shake those of you out who aren't aware of how these bull markets work and the type of corrections that happen that are actually healthy for this market. One trader likened this drop as a bear trap on the Wall Street cheat sheet after the first sentiment extreme before we ride this wave all the way up. In fact, some like CZ think that we haven't actually hit the real bull market yet. So whether we're gearing up for phase 4, the last phase, the parabolic blow off top of a bull run, or the beginning of a massive bull run, you better be ready and don't get shaken out and don't get controlled by your fear right now as you see negative sentiment and negative headlines, because this opportunity is very much here. I'm buying the dip. I've been telling you guys that all along. And today we're going to discuss levels to watch for Bitcoin. But not only that, we're going to get into the further along the tail altcoins, right? Not your average large caps, but one large cap, which is hyper liquid, has been taking the world, the crypto world, by storm. It is the everything predictions market, decentralized predictions market with leverage trading, and it has taken the world by storm. It is sitting now at about a $50 billion FDV. Today, we're going to discuss treasury company, a small cap, micro cap stock treasury company that will be buying hyper liquid, which was brought to my attention by Elio Trades, as well as BMNR, the treasury company founded by Tom Lee, which is leading the pack right now and just gobbling up Ethereum as the dip goes on. And he actually explains why it's beneficial to buy a treasury, to have exposure to a treasury company versus just the underlying asset. So I've been buying the stock since around $40. We gave it to you on the capital mindset. In fact, I'm going to show you the chart right now because it's actually quite astounding. The measured move from this massive double bottom that is forming is around $1,200. And if you start buying now on the dip, or you bought where I bought, that is a whopping 30x on a stock if it plays out the entire measured move. Now, there are a lot of different things at play here, such as a merger and different things that have happened to this stock, but I believe it's going to do extremely well as a treasury company that is buying up hyper liquid. I'm going to give that to you in today's episode as well. Plus one competitor that is currently 5x less of a valuation than Hyperliquid and backed by Binance Labs. It's now called YZI Labs, Yeezy Labs, okay? These guys know what they are doing. The BNB coin has reached an all-time high and they are crushing it. So this could be your chance to get into Hyperliquid's main competitor and ride that wave up 5x just to reach where Hyperliquid is now. And also we're going to be going over bull market statistics. Now, some of those I gave you already in the previous episode by analyst Eric Crown, who gave us some key features to hone in on, which I think are really interesting, right? Everybody is wondering, are we in a prolonged cycle now, or is this going to be the typical 4-year cycle where, in which case, we would be topping out in the next 4 to 6 weeks, right? 6 weeks. Let's give it some time. 6 weeks. That is very, very close to now. Typically, we top in October to November. So we're going to have a look at just what would happen if September closes green versus September closing red. So the first scenario is September closes green, which is above $109,000 close, and we then see sort of a parabolic blow off top for the rest of this year. That's one hypothetical prediction, because we got the statistics that if September closes green in a bullish year, as it did 2023 and 2024, it went on to do an average of 50 to 60% gains by the end of the year, guys. Remember, that puts Bitcoin at 175 to 190,000. And one asks the question, would that be the blow off top and then go on into our traditional bear market? Or would we continue to stair step, ladder up, and potentially have a 6 to 7 month consolidation getting ready for the next leg? So that being said, if September closes red, it might not actually be that terrible for the markets. In fact, it might be healthy for the markets, as then we would see a more prolonged consolidation and a more of a laddering up effect, right? Like stocks or like ETFs. and it'd be a little bit healthier for the market long term, and that would lead most likely to a prolonged bull run or super cycle of sorts, right? So that's what we're looking at. We're going to look at key levels to watch for Bitcoin, as well as these micro cap stocks and the next hyperliquid token, plus some really, really important news. And don't forget, we're not just looking to crush it in the next 4 to 6 weeks and the next leg of this bull run. We are looking to build long-term wealth, as this is a long game. And remember, in my last YouTube, I told you guys that one of the tips for success in this market, and any market for that matter, is being able to delay that instant gratification. So let's not only build a plan and an exit strategy for this bull run, but let's also set our future selves up for success. I've said that in several episodes. I'm going to continue to repeat it because I want you guys to kind of follow the path and the framework to be able to be free, to get out of the matrix, and to start building that wealth for yourself and outpacing inflation, quite frankly. Because if you keep your money in cash and you save it in the bank, it is going to get debased as the dollar gets debased, and it's going to be worth less and less and less. In fact, I just showed you the stat on the last episode, how the US dollar has lost 10% of its value alone this year. So that being said, we need to invest in hard, scarce assets like Bitcoin and gold and silver. And no better place to do that than with our partner, the most trusted crypto IRA firm, I Trust Capital. You guys can buy and sell and trade Bitcoin, many different cryptos, hundreds of cryptos, as well as precious metals, tax-free within the IRA. Also, sign up to my Discord in the link below, and the early birds will be rewarded. This is the last week for the early birds. It is free to join. We are going to gather some of the best traders in the world to be giving you setups, helping teach you how to trade and all of that. I want to make the most high value Discord on the internet. So do sign up for that. There's a lot of surprises coming, and you will be considered an early adopter. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Sign up for iTrust. And on that note, it's time to get started. If you like that, smash the like, hit the subscribe, and that notification bell, and let's do this. Okay, so with all great dips comes the inverse Kramer tweet, which is here. Alt season is just a myth. It will never happen. How many of you guys have heard that on your timelines? How many of you guys are ready to give up, thinking that this is never going back up again, that altcoins will never see new all-time highs, that this is just dead as we know it? I mean, it's a big portion of the internet. That's a sentiment I'm seeing, and I couldn't disagree more, right? And so he is the perfect inverse signal, as you all know. But really, with all of these treasury companies buying up things like ETH and, Grayscale's fund being approved, and all of the ETF framework being approved so that corporations can go ahead and buy altcoins, there's just no doubt in my mind that we are going to see that euphoria in the market again. And CZ himself says it. He says he believes we haven't even seen the real bull market yet. So, I'm sticking to my strategy. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm doubling down. I've got lots of stuff to cover on this episode, including how big of a percentage of your portfolio Ray Dalio thinks you should have, one of the most traditional investors alive. Okay, so stick with me as we go through this, and by the end of this, I hope it's crystal clear to you that now is a very great opportunity to be buying if you're of the opinion that I am. So yeah, let's do this. So over 1.7 billion has been liquidated from the crypto market in the past 24 hours, the largest single day liquidation event this year. There's a lot of leverage, a lot of people anticipating a run up after rate cuts were announced. And, we know on this channel to be wary of that. We know that there will be gut wrenching dips that, if you're in leverage trades, you have to be very prepared for this because you can get wiped out. So we will be in the Discord. If you've joined, I will be adding some of the best leverage traders in the world for free to give you setups for free, right? And to help you out and to show you some of the best, because I want to help people learn, right? Then later you can join their groups or whatever it is, but we will populate that. We'll have, courses teaching you how to trade. And just in general, if you're a long-term investor, man, celebrate the red days. The red days are for buying, in my opinion. It is what I'm doing. It's what I do. And it keeps things simple and easy, right? As long as you believe we're still in a bull market, which I most certainly do, which I'll show you the levels now, then for me, these are massive opportunities. Now, if you're in a leverage trade, you need to be careful, manage your risk. But otherwise, the red days are for celebrating. And this is the chart that I showed in the intro, right? This is a Wall Street cheat sheet. Here we are. Accumulation, trend emergence, a shakeout. So a shakeout is a little bit different than a bear trap. A bear trap feels even more intense. It feels like, oh, I knew it. This is over. It's never going to happen. We saw the top. That's what a bear trap is. Don't get caught in that. Don't get tricked here, guys. Stand your ground, stay firm, right? We just had a first sentiment extreme. Bitcoin raced up to 124,000 and change and is now cooling off. And people are saying, yep, that was it. That was the top. I most definitely don't believe that is so. I believe we're right here. I believe this trader is right on the mark and that we'll have renewed optimism come in, FOMO and euphoria. Now, the question is, do we get a prolonged bull market where we don't rush right into that FOMO stage, or do we get a blow off top in which the 4-year cycle may still hold true and we'll see a top to this market within the next 6 weeks? Either way, you have got to be ready because that is right around the corner, right? Either way, whether it's the end of the bull market or the beginning of a bigger bull market, be ready. Be ready. Here we have, this is the biggest liquidation since March with over 95% coming from longs. Why is an event like this important? The market is overheating. Over-leveraged longs need to get flushed to reset the market. Now the market is setting the stage for the next major move in Q4. Don't forget what I said in the intro. If we finish September green, that means closing Bitcoin closing above $109,000. We will most likely, according to the statistics, get a very, very nice green Q4, right? End of the year. So Q3 into Q4. So guys, just have patience, let it play out. So crypto just crashed 1.5, well, now it's 1.7 billion in longs liquidated. Here's why this really happened. Key factors: over leverage. Traders piled into bullish bets after the Fed rate cuts. Cascade of liquidations. Once price slipped, forced sell-off snowballed. And that's what happens with bear traps or bull traps. You know, you've got these short squeezes and these long squeezes, and market makers will force the price either up or down, or will try to make that happen so that that leverage can get liquidated, right? And then we're reset. The market is reset. So support break. Bitcoin fell under 115K, triggering stop losses and margin calls. Macro jitters, doubts over Fed's next moves, and global data hit sentiment. Low liquidity in alts, ETH, Doge, Sol, and smaller tokens dropped harder. Bitcoin touched 112K, alts bled. Lesson: leverage plus fragile sentiment equals violent crashes. And it's true. We haven't reached that point where we're in full, the liquidity from Bitcoin goes into Ethereum and the Ethereum liquidity goes into altcoins. We haven't reached that point yet, the sort of rotation, right? So watch 110K Bitcoin rebound possible, but below that, all eyes on 100K. Eric Crown actually also took us through key statistics, and 104 and 105K are also key levels of support. So if 110K doesn't hold, then we'll be looking down to those levels, but rest assured, we would still be in a bull market at those levels. So consider it a grand opportunity. Bitcoin has broken its bear flag. Price action is expected to be bearish into Tuesday, followed by a rally into the end of next week. Support is at 110K. Here we are, 104 to 103K major support, higher chance of getting tested before October rally begins. The timing for the low is in on October 3rd to 6th around the full moon. So we just got the bear moon here, and he's saying that the next bull moon comes around October 3rd to 6th, which would line up at the bottom trend line of support here on Bitcoin on what appears to be forming a bull flag. Okay, so that could be a very, very good opportunity if we do get that opportunity. So be prepared. Alts might get hit during this time, but just know I believe a big rally is coming in October, and also it's when Charles Hoskinson thinks that we'll see the Clarity Act pass. So before we get into why Treasury companies value, let's first examine why Tom Lee believes we're not in a bubble and why that sort of thinking is flawed.
People telling us why the stock market shouldn't be going up and why it's expensive. And every time we get off, it strengthens the case for stocks to go higher because it's a non-consensus view that we should be going up. You need skepticism for markets to go up. If everybody was bullish in the liquid world, that's the top. Just because digital asset treasuries have gone up and you don't own it doesn't mean it's a bubble. A bubble is just your friend making money. A bubble is truly created when everyone is bullish. So if you're bullish, not you, but I'm saying the listener is bullish, and then they don't go up, and everyone's bullish, then that's a bubble.
All right, so the next topic of conversation is why you should buy an Ethereum treasury company, or any treasury company for that matter, over the underlying asset, in this case, Ethereum. Let's hear what Tom Lee has to say.
Yes. So let's get right to the question from investors. So why would investors need to buy a Bitcoin stock instead of just buying Ethereum directly if it's so good?
Yes, that's a great question, because someone's going to say, well, if Ethereum can go up a lot, why don't I just buy Ethereum? And one of the differences is that a digital treasury like Bitmine is actually growing how much Ethereum you have per share. So I'll give you an example. On July 8th, when we closed on that initial transaction for taking over Bitmine, or transforming it to a Bitmine treasury, an Ethereum treasury, there was $4 of Ethereum per share held at Bitmine. So imagine someone could say, I could buy $4 worth of Ethereum or buy one Bitmine share. As of August 24th, Bitmine held $40 of Ethereum per share. So it rose by 10 times. But if someone bought the Ethereum itself, or they bought the Ethereum ETF, they'd still only have $4 of Ethereum per share. So you can see that a treasury company is growing your Ethereum holdings per share. That's why MicroStrategy's stock did better than Bitcoin. In August 2020, MicroStrategy's stock was $13. Today it's $335. It's gone up by more than 25 times. The price of Bitcoin has gone from 10,000 to 110,000. So it's gone up by 11 times. But MicroStrategy stock's gone up by 25 times. And that's because MicroStrategy, as a treasury company, has grown your Bitcoin per share. And Bitmine is growing your Ethereum held per share every week. It's growing by roughly 50 cents per day.
Okay. That's the reason why we should buy Bitmine instead of Ethereum if we want more profits.
That's right. And to give you a perspective, the stock was $4.50 when we announced the treasury strategy. And today the stock's $43. So it's gone up by 10 times. Ethereum has risen by 50% in that period of time. So Bitmine has outperformed Ethereum.
Wow, that's pretty wild. So it's gone up by 10x since they launched a treasury company, while Ethereum has only gone up 50%. So it's kind of like a levered bet on the underlying asset as they manage it for you. And it's a really interesting play, right? So now we have Tom Lee's fund, right, which is BMNR. In fact, I talked about it on this YouTube with the Capital Mindset, with Trip from the Capital Mindset not too long ago. And I bought personally around $40, and it has since skyrocketed. Now it is correcting a little bit and may well be in my dollar cost average range, but I'm definitely interested in this. And I'm also going to show you the quote unquote penny stock, $30 million market cap that Elliot Trades talked about on his YouTube, which is now a treasury stock buying hype. And as I said in the intro, Arthur Hayes, the former CEO of BitMEX, who is one of my favorite people in the space, believes that hype will go do 100x and be a $5,000 coin. Now, the reason why it's not entirely unfathomable is look what Binance has done. Binance is over $1,000 now. There are multi-$1,000 coins in the industry. So it's not far-fetched to think that it could be done, although it would be a very, very high market cap if it were to achieve that. But the way in which they get there is through the massive amount of volume that's coming through stablecoins. So there's a method to the madness. We're going to dive into that now. First up, I want to show you the chart that we put out from the Capital Mindset, okay, when we were buying BMNR, and Trip was pointing out there was a massive double bottom here on the 1 week, and it retested quite nicely here, retesting the weekly 200 MA, and that was around $35. I bought it around 40, and it has since gone up quite a bit. So as you can see, the measured move of this massive double bottom on the 1 week is $1,216. It's a 35x from where it is now. Now, that's not saying that it'll get all the way up there. This is just to map out the possibilities in the future, right? So I did buy around 40, and I have a list here. So Kathy Woods, ARK Invest, scooped up about 182 million in BMNR common shares recently as part of BMNR's Ethereum treasury strategy. Peter Thiel disclosed a 9.1 stake in BMNR. So big names in this stock. I'm happy to be a part of it. As always, guys, do your own research. I like to have some skin in the game in these type of plays because we saw how it went for Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy. I like Tom Lee. I think he's a really smart guy, and I think this is a really interesting play. So I have some allocation to this. Maybe I'll be picking some up on the dip, but yeah, I think this is a really interesting play. Next up, Hyperliquid. So as I discussed in the intro, it is all the rage. It is the blockchain to house all future finance, right? Crypto is fragmented, but it doesn't need to be. For the first time, build projects, create value, and exchange assets on the same hyper-performance chain. And it is the speculation of all speculation happening on this chain, right? Lots of leverage bets and leverage plays, and it's fast, and traders love it, and it's decentralized, right? So it's pretty cool. Hype has done very, very well. Now, my problem was that I felt it was too highly valued. It had too high of an FDV. It was around 50 billion, so I never got in. But Arthur Hayes says that he believes this is going to be a $5,000 token over time. So let's have a look and just understand why, because that will lead us into our next play, which is the penny stock that's a treasury for Hyperliquid, as well as the new competitor launched backed by Binance Labs, well, YZI Labs, which is part of Binance. Let's check it out.
You had mentioned, hype. And at that point, I felt like I'd already missed the boat. I think it's probably up, I don't know, maybe almost 2x since that point. But it's something that I keep getting my attention back to. I still haven't bought any yet. Do you think at this valuation, it's currently sitting at FDV, almost $57 billion right now, there's still a lot of room left to grow?
Absolutely. The I don't know what the number what the the developer count is now, but when I spoke to Jeff, it was like 10 people. Maybe it's marginally higher now. As a person who's run a large exchange, the ability for this team to ship code is absolutely insane. I think the team at Athena is about 20 people. So you have some of these amazing teams who are able to ship product better than any centralized company can ever do, because they do one thing, they do it well. Hyperliquid is a leverage trading platform. They're moving into spot. With the HIP-3 sort of permissionless listing mechanism, now you can permissionlessly list perpetuals, which is something that a lot of other protocols have staked their name to. DYDX is one they did very, very well, but unfortunately they decided not to pay anyone out of the lots of money that they made, and that's why their token's a piece of shit. So I think that Hyperliquid next goal is to beat Binance. How does Hyperliquid get from here to the number one exchange of any type globally? Is it a fait accompli? Of course not. It's going to take a lot of work and luck and all that sort of stuff. But that's what I'm betting on, and I think it's moving in the right direction. The amount of energy that we've seen on these proposals for the USDH from every major stablecoin issuer tells you how integral Hyperliquid is to the trading ecosystem within crypto within basically 18 months, if you want to think about it.
Yeah.
So the forward on this is amazing. And as more people learn about this, it's only going to get better. The one thing that gives me a bit of pause is the massive unlock of the team tokens in November. So we're going to have to see how that sort of plays out in terms of positioning. But as I said in the presentation, my 2028 target is in the 100x plus sort of return if we get this sort of massive move into stable coins. So that's sort of why I think.
Here? Yeah.
On hype. That's what I went on stage. And
so you think there'd be like a $5,000 token?
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. That's it. All right.
He's clearly shocked there. I mean, yeah, that's a massive valuation. That would put it like in the trillions of market cap. It would put it pretty high. So he clearly has a lot of faith in this token, and he says that is because we are going to get this massive boom of stable coins in, tons of volume, trading, speculation. So by 2028, 5K for Hyperliquid. Okay, it just might be. I'm thinking about getting some on the dip here. I still don't have an allocation, just to be quite frank about this, but I find it very interesting, which leads me to the next play. And that would be Sonnet Biotherapeutics. Okay, I saw this on Elio Trades YouTube, and I decided I want to look into this. I will do a deeper dive into this. Maybe we'll even interview the team, but I find this really interesting. So Sonnet Biotherapeutics is merging with Roche, I don't know how to say it, to form Hyperliquid Strategies Inc., HSI. So that's going to be the new ticker when that merge happens. It's a new entity valued at $888 million, focused on holding hype tokens from Hyperliquid Layer 1 blockchain as its primary strategy. So this company is completely pivoting and going all in on the hype token. Is clearly they believe in this model, and they believe in the longevity of what hype is building. And you heard Arthur Hayes. He says that this team can ship code like nobody's business, and they can, they're really good at doing that one thing. And that's oftentimes what leads to success in cryptos, when you're hyper-focused and you like that? Hyper-focused. And you're really smashing it at what you do, right? And so these guys are delivering. This hype surrounding this deal, which includes strategic investment from firms like Paradigm, Galaxy, the two the biggest, right? Massive increase in Sonnet's stock price following the announcement, and significant pivot, get this, from biotech to a crypto treasury model. I mean, that's crazy, right? Biotech. The merge is expected to close in the second half of 2025, approved by Sonnet shareholders and the SEC. So Elio did mention that, once the merge takes place and the insiders get to sell their tokens, things like that, that might have some sort of impact on the token. But I think I will be allocating in at this point, just a little bit. I'll dollar cost average, because we have had a sizable correction with the recent dip in Bitcoin. And I think this is a really interesting play. I think I'm going to take a stab at it again. $30 million, a penny stock, is very, very risky, guys. So do your research. It's not financial advice. Don't ape all in. Don't come back to me and say, it didn't go up 1,000 times in 5 days. You got to be patient, and you got to just accept that it's a very risky play, and it's going to be volatile. I'm willing to put a little bit of a stake in this, and I think it's very interesting. Okay, so yeah, hyperliquid treasury. If you really just take into account what Tom Lee says about the treasury model and why it works and why it's an interesting approach, I mean, corporations wouldn't be able to necessarily get exposure to hype or the hype token, right? But they can through this sort of vehicle. So it allows the unlock of much more capital. I think it's very interesting. This is a stock right now. It's kind of similar to BMNR actually. And it's just coming down into the $5.70 territory. I think when Elio talked about it, it was up here at around 770. So it's already had a sizable correction. And yeah, I'm going to think about dollar cost averaging into this one for sure. And next up is the competitor. So Arthur Hayes says that their goal, hype, is to kill Binance, right? Just be the Binance killer, just take over Binance. And of course, Binance being Binance, they're always on top of things. They're always thinking one step ahead. I mean, CZ said it. He said, the future of all exchanges will be decentralization. He said that years ago, I think 5 years ago. I remember listening to this episode of an interview with him, okay? And here we are. We have a token called like Hype, but a new one has come onto the market, and it is called Aster. All right, and it currently has an FDV about 12.35 billion. It's up 1 billion from when I started recording earlier in this morning. So I don't know if people are starting to catch on or what, but it's called Aster. It's a competitor to Hype, and it is, so just for perspective, Hype has an FDV of 47.65 billion. All right, so it's a sizable amount bigger. It's about a 5x bigger. 4 or 5x bigger than Aster, and Aster is backed by Binance. So it is Binance, basically. That's what I've gathered, right? Because CZ, he's got it here in one of his most recent tweets, right? A clapping emoji. We hit over 3 billion in perp trading volume during the past 24 hours. 3 billion, that's big. That is big, and they are just getting started. So you got CZ tweeting about it, who, as we know, has a massive audience and a massive following. He's got 10 million followers, all right? So I think they have a real shot at doing a dent here, and I will be picking up some Aster as well, although it seems like it just had a pump recently, so maybe wait for it to come back down, but I think this is a very interesting token. I will be doing a deeper dive. One of my good friends is head of YZI Yeezy Labs, so maybe he can have some insights that I can share with you guys, but really interesting. The only ticker is Aster, and it's live only on BNB chain. Okay, so when was this? September 20th. It's you can now enjoy a 5% fee discount while trading perps on Aster Pro. So it's basically, yeah, the next hype, guys. It's the next hype, the next hyper liquid, your chance to get in at 4 to 5 times less valuation, okay? And it's backed by Binance. We saw what Binance did. Their coin just did a new all-time high in the thousands now, all right? These people know what they are doing, and they know how to run it, and they know how to reach traders in the right audience. So on another note, just to get into the news of the day before we wrap this up, Base token launching soon, ? Coinbase's Base on Ethereum Layer 2 blockchain announced at the Basecamp event in Vermont that is exploring the launch of a native token, network token, to promote decentralization community involvement. Right, so the whole problem with Base is like people haven't been able to really invest in it. They've had to invest in things like Aerodrum, which is a decentralized exchange on a DEX on Base. And so there hasn't really been a play where people can get exposure to Base except for the Coinbase stock. This move follows the exponential growth of ETH this year, reversing Coinbase's 2023 decision against issuing a native token. And again, 2023, coming off the back of Gary Gensler reign of terror, I can understand why they didn't want to launch their own token, but now they're thinking about it, it seems. So let's see. And also, for those of you who've been a little bit shaken up by this dip, look, we're human, it's understandable, but we must control our emotions, people. We must do it. This is an excellent opportunity, and grain it in your mind, because this is meant to shake you out. It is meant to shake you to your core, right? Especially the new people who are coming, or in general. I mean, altcoins have been scary this cycle, right? It's been Bitcoin, the Bitcoin show, and people are wondering if altcoins are ever going to truly wake up again. Let me tell you, in my opinion, they most definitely are, and we're very close to that. So don't miss out because you're sitting on the sidelines and you're afraid. In my opinion, I am jumping in, I am buying the dips, and I'm getting prepared because this is the asymmetrical bet that I am willing to bet on. I'm willing to place my cards there. I'm willing to play, guys. I'm willing to enter because I see so many amazing things happening in this space and so many amazing projects, and it's risk on appetite now. And I see this going, the writing's on the wall, and I see it's going one way, right? It's a one-way train and it's going forward. And we're not turning back. And that's it. It's a more mature asset class now. Corporations are involved. Countries are buying. Michael Saylor's buying the dip. He just bought 850 Bitcoin worth 96 million. Gold just reached a new all-time high of 3,725. For Bitcoin just to be at parity with gold, we've got a huge run to make up for that lost gap there. I mean, people are turning to physical gold. You better believe they're going to be turning that digital gold and maybe turning some of that physical gold into digital gold. You never know. So if Bitcoin should be trade at least half the value of gold, that would put it around $325,000 price mark, and it would still be undervalued. So that's what we can take from today. You're still in time. MetaPlanet is buying. So all of these treasury companies are buying. This is like the Japanese MicroStrategy, okay? They bought 5,419 Bitcoin worth 633 million. That's huge, guys. That's huge, okay? And finally, we'll end with CZ. We'll end it here. Binance founder CZ says, maybe we haven't even hit the real bull market yet. And, you know, these are the top of the top guys. They are in the game. They are the elite. And I am getting to network with a lot of them too. And I'm seeing something different than what most people are thinking. And it doesn't add up. And what Tom Lee said earlier on in the episode, there has to be a healthy amount of skepticism in order for the markets to move, right? Because otherwise we're just at the top and it could be the peak of the bubble. So that's what he explained in the beginning, that we're not actually in a bubble. It's just people upset that they missed the beginning, right? So don't miss the end. Remember, 20% of the gains come in the last 80% of the bull market typically. So it's time to get positioned, guys. And on that note, I'm going to leave you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.